outset, when I'm starting this, I would like to thank Mr. Jagannath for providing me this opportunity to connect with you. So, I will be speaking on the learning gaps that we usually find in the children. And before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I have been dealing with children, teaching children mathematics, training teachers on how to teach mathematics, especially, talking about how to remove the mathematics phobia amongst the children. I have been an author, written the NCERT maths textbook, written lots of resource material for teachers on how to teach the mathematics. The topic that I'm going to talk about today is about the learning gaps in the children I'm very passionate about. And whatever I'm going to speak today is what I have learned from my experience over the years while dealing with children. I have had an experience of about more than 20 years, 2 decades, in dealing with children, teaching mathematics from all levels of children. So, whatever I will be speaking is from the experience that I have gained. I have found the children, developing certain gaps while they are learning right from their early childhood. So, first, we need to actually think about that when and why and how the children start experiencing a learning gap when they are learning, when they're going to school. What is the time when they start losing interest and then start developing interest in some areas? It doesn't happen to all the children, but yes, to a maximum of children undergo such a transformation. The children who are good and able to manage on their own are termed as bright children, intelligent children. But what happens to the others? Why aren't they in the same loop? So let's try to understand that when a child goes to a school, a nursery, KG, Montessori, grade 1, he is exposed to various subjects. And then basically when they are the basics, you learn alphabets, you learn numbers, you learn what is around us. They're very interesting. And the child becomes very interested. He comes home, he's very happy, and the parents also can help him. But slowly and steadily, what happens? He starts losing interest in the subject that he is learning. At that time, the parents also put them in a lot of other activities. By the time they're 7 years, 8 years, they go for painting classes, music classes, and all other activities to keep them occupied. What happens? The child, the moment the subject starts become complicated in school, they don't understand, they start losing they stop enjoying the subject and they start losing their interest. At the same time, whatever else they are doing, it may be productive, it may be unproductive, like watching cartoons, playing a lot outside, or playing video games, because they start enjoying it. Because we are human beings and it's a human nature. Whatever we enjoy doing, we tend to do that. So if it is studies we enjoy doing, studying, if we are interested, we'll start studying. So this is where the transformation comes. Now, why this comes? Why the things becomes complicated? When we are learning, this is usually a learning pattern that we have. Whenever we learn something, we first have to understand what we are learning. A simple example, we learn language. First, we learn the alphabets. We learn the sound with the alphabets. We learn how to pronounce words using those alphabets. Then we learn how to apply them, remember them, use them. So we are convinced that we are learning this in order to communicate. It happens in all the subjects, but there is a variation. There is a different manner in which different subjects are learned, because all subjects are different. We do not have the same pattern of learning for science, for social studies, for mathematics, for languages. So here, when they are dealing with this, so in the school, as the things start complicated, initially everything is the same, but as they grow, the understanding application may be still they are understanding what is in the what is happening in the school, but later on they may not be able to remember, recapitulate, present. So that is where the gap starts developing. What we need to do is to look at that gap, ensure that the child is able to bridge that gap at the right time. For example, we cannot do a rote learning for mathematics. Whereas for social studies, it's very important for us to remember the dates, remember the incidents. For that, we can learn, memorize, and write it out in the exam. In this science, it's very important for us to understand the principle, learn the principle, and in our examination pattern, it's very important for us to write that principle, write the definitions that are being asked. Maths, there is no rote learning. We cannot do a rote learning in mathematics. So usually what happens, this deficiency starts becoming a lot in our lives. And this is a very big problem. We have seen, it has been seen that about 75% of the school students have this learning deficiency. There is a conceptual understanding and its use. This becomes a major issue. And over the years, as we grow, over the years, it multiplies in it. And the second thing that comes into the factor is the teaching techniques that have changed over the years. The way we have studied the subjects in the school and the way the school has, the way the students are taught the subjects these days are very different. So once the school, the teacher is introducing, in the evening, the parents are helping, the child gets confused what is happening. Though the things are same, the way it has been delivered, it is different. So this learning deficiency is one of the biggest hurdles in the success of the child. So they lose, eventually what happens? They lose interest in the studies. Higher education therefore becomes very difficult for them. And the, and then what does the school do about it? Because every child has to study, they start losing their interest. Every child has to study, the parents has to ensure that the child must score marks. So what does the school do? They start assigning homework so that at least the child sits for about 30 minutes every day and completes the homework. Either the child does it on its own or with the help of a tuition teacher or help of a neighborhood auntie or elder siblings, but the child is at least sitting and doing. And eventually, slowly and slowly, it goes to coaching classes, and then, it multiplies. It never ends over there. Now, why does it happen? What can we do to prevent this? How can we help our child so that he has its interest? Because there's another group of students who do not need any help. The school teacher and a little bit of, help, facilitation by a elder will help the child to manage it on its own. They are able to even crack the entrance exams very efficiently without even turning to any coaching. Now, what can we do? We need to track the children at the very right age. We need to expose the children to the different learning techniques at a very early stage. We need to tell them, though the school teachers also try their level best to tell them that this is English, this is the way we study, this is maths, this is the way you need to do it, this is science, this is social studies, and we have different teachers teaching different subjects, employing different teaching methodology. But then for a child, it may become difficult. So what happens? At that stage, they tend to rote learning because they find that is the most easiest way. This is the same thing I'm doing for all the subjects. So I'll just learn, go write in the exam and come back. Few subjects he will succeed, but few subjects it will be a complete failure. The one which involves logical ability, which involves calculation, in which we have to perform, which are skill based. So if we can expose the child at the right age about the different learning techniques, this is how we can bridge the gap in the student. Now next what happens? a child is, is not liking one subject, but he is going from one class to the other, and he has reached a certain level when the parents feel that yes, he's not good in studies, he's not able to manage, what can we do about him? Again, it's not the fault of the child, it is that he doesn't know how to study the subjects. If they are trained even at that level, if they are convinced that the subjects are different and we need to learn the subjects in a different manner, they learn, and whatever they were not able to focus on when they were young, if we can get back to that, explain it to them, and slowly and steadily the child starts understanding what he is doing, and then they start enjoying the subject. And if we can at any stage identify the gap, that when it started, how it started, why it started, and then if we can try to bridge the gap, then I think it helps the child and they start enjoying this subject. This I'm talking from my experience, because I've had students who have been not doing maths. The reason is that they've been learning maths. They never knew that you don't learn maths. There are certain, it's a skill, it's a procedure, it's a method that we need to remember and we need to apply. It's most on application based. Mathematics is a skill, it's like a performing art. In the exam, even I have must have added something 100 times, but when I'm writing a paper, if there is some addition, I need to add it again. So and then during those 3 hours, if I am not stressed, if I'm free, if I can think properly, so these I'll be able to write the exam. So we need to train children, because at the end of the day they are children. So we need to identify what is bothering them. Is it understanding? Is it it is the application? Is it the way? Is it the stress? What is happening to the child to so that they are not able to perform? So what are we doing for this? We have started Drona Learning Academy. It's an online learning platform which was established in 2018 with this objective, that we are going to identify the learning gap in the children and then try to bridge the gap and then help the child enjoy the subject that they started with. And we have done now, because it's the fourth year running, we have had an experience of this with many students. Our goal is to understand and make the students enjoy the process of learning. So what we actually do is we provide an exceptional, it's different for different subjects. We see where the child is facing a problem. We try to fill up the gap. We facilitate our students to reach the potential and keep on learning on the way. We assess them to improve their academic grades and inculcate the habit of self-study, because that is very important for a child to learn. That is very important for a child to progress, because the moment he starts learning on his own, it means he has started enjoying, and then he will then spend more time with his books. And this is a unique uniform platform. We started with 2 people, now we are 10. All of them are trained, we teach in the same manner, and we actually do not teach, we learn with the child, and we facilitate the child to learn on their own. They come out with their doubts, they come up with what they are thinking, they improve the thinking skills. So this is how we are functioning. What do we offer? There are 2 types of models. Firstly, for the children, there is a bridge gap in their understanding and their application. So in that, we have one-to-one interactive sessions. That is for the children who have whose concepts are very weak, so that we have to go deep down. Like they are in grade 9, but then they feel okay, grade 7, whatever they've done in grade 5. So we have to go back with the child, ensure that all the concepts are clear over the time, and then he gets back to the standard and he's able to do. There's another one we have in which it's one to many, a maximum 5 students. This caters to the students who know the subject, who can do it, who are able to do it. There's no problem in their understanding, there is no problem in their thing, but they don't perform. Now, why do they don't perform? There are a lot of other things. The stress factor, they are not able to recall, they are not able to produce what they recall, they're not able to write. There are a lot of other gaps that the children, and they make careless errors. So for those sort of students, we run batches. So what we do in the batches, it's a defined module. We have in the batches, after a concept is taught to the student, methods are given how to apply that concept, worksheets and home assignments are given. That inculcates the self-study. On the basis of what they have learned, what they have understood, they try to understand the worksheets and the home assignments. From there, we actually get to know whether he's actually understood or he's just pretending that he is understood. Then, that is, understanding has taken care of. Then we have a weekly test on the basis of the concepts covered. In the weekly test is the recall, because once I have learned something, if I don't remember, it is of no use. So remembering and then able to reproduce when required is very important. So that is also taken. And then we do have the discussion on what errors they are making, why are they making. We try to inculcate what did they think, why, how could they make such an error. So why this has happened, this shouldn't have happened, that's why they are thinking in a different manner. Why aren't they able to interpret? And it is different for different subjects. I'm talking about maths and science, but if it is in English, the way of dealing with English language would be different. And we have English teachers who are proficient in it, we have Hindi teachers who are proficient in it. They also deal with the gaps in their respective subjects. So, and also the second thing that what we do is the guide the students about their career, what they have to do the career. Now see, what happens is that as a child, we know what I want to be. As a child, I develop an interest, I have an aim, and this is usually with the people that I see, with my family around. I get inspired, I want to follow a certain lifestyle. So that creates an interest in me. And if you look at a small child, he says that I want to be a doctor. But as the time he grows and he looks into a lot of things, I want to be a pilot. Then suddenly after 2 years, he sees a lot of, I want to be a cook, I want to be a chef. So there are a lot of things happening because his interest keeps on changing. By the time you are in 8th grade or you're in 9th grade, then you have a definite, area in which, yes, these things, they interest me. But should I do this? Because the experience, what I have to do for it is lacking. So in that, the parents play a very important role. They tend to guide their children. The society that they move in also plays a very important role in what you have to do. But then the child's interest lies somewhere, and it is best, if I have my interest, I have the same career, I'll enjoy doing what I am. So we also do a career, we have actually a psychometric test, which is in collaboration with an US based Pearson company, and it is standardized to our Indian standards. In that test, there are three things. There are three tests. One, which will tell you about the interest that you have. It's a small 40 minutes test in which, lots of questions are asked to you. What you like, what you don't like, what you think about. And on the basis of that, they will, say that, okay, these are the two areas of your interest. And then they'll tell you that there's a variety of professions that you can take up, the variety of career opportunities that you have based on your interest. Then comes the next thing, which is very important to us, which is our personality. Now, personality, we keep on developing, we enhancing our skills. What does this personality test do? Once we know what my interest is and what I want to be in future, this personality test just tells you whether you are competent enough to do that, or there is some trait in you that you need to develop. For example, I want to be a lawyer. So for the lawyer, what you have to do, I need to know a lot, I need to study a lot, I need to, remember a lot of things. And also I need to be very vocal. I need to be an extrovert. I need to place my case. I need to think. I need to talk. So extrovert is a very important character which is required to be a lawyer. Now, when I'm doing this personality test, they will tell you whether I have that trait in me or not. If not, then what are the things that I can do to develop that traits? There are people who really want to go into for aeronautic engineering, or they want to go for this engineering. The personality says test will tell you whether you are capable, or you need to develop some traits in you that is required to for you to pursue the career of your interest. So these are the two very important things that a developing child has. Interest by by the time he is in 8th grade, by the 9th or 10th grade, he is very clear about his interest. So if your child is in 9th grade or your 10th grade, he can take up this test, because in 11th and 12th he got to choose the subjects of your interest, of your choice. And then by the time you are 15 years, you have actually developed your personality, and still you are on the process of developing your traits. So that is the time when you can have this and see whether what are the traits that you need to work on. In order to, you don't have to change anything, you have to just work on the traits that may be missing if you want to do the thing of your career, if you want to pursue the career of your choice. Now, the third one is an aptitude test, which is recommended for students who are in grade 12, who would have developed their aptitude for the choice, whether it's logical, whether it's verbal, or it may also applicable for people who are into jobs, but they are not making any progress. After certain level, there is a stagnation. The other people are rising. There's so many people who join the same organization. Few rise, few remain. They don't get promoted. But why? Maybe their aptitude is not fit for that. So if they undergo this aptitude test, which is a little longer test, which has got 6 criteria, they judge on your 6 criteria, then on the basis of that, you can actually judge whether where you are sitting now, whether it is the best place for you or not. If not, then you can actually work on that attitude and then try to get something more. So these are the 3 important tests we have, and this is in partnership with the Pearson counseling services. These are all online tests, and if you are interested, you can always get back to us and we can apply these tests. And after the test, you will immediately get the results, and you can interpret it. It's very simple, very nice, and you'll get to know a lot about your career, about your interest, about your personality. And so now the benefits. Now the benefits for this is, you can make the right academic choices. The 9th standard, it's very important, 10th standard, and actually it gives you a better planning. Even for the parents, they can support the child in their career decisions. You can have a good planning. You can be aware of the various career options that are lying ahead of you. So these are for these tests can be taken for the students who are from the age group of 13 to 18 years, and they get to know about this. So these are the 2 things that we do in Drona Learning Academy, and with me is my partner, Dr. Abhilasha. Both of us have started this together. So I deal with mathematics, and Dr. Abhilasha deals with science. And now we have a group of more teachers who are dealing, we have grown our maths team and science team. And apart from this, we have teachers who are dealing with English, Hindi, French, Sanskrit. And we are trying to bring a change in the education system with that process. Now I'll open the forum. If anybody has any questions, you can ask, and I'll be there to answer your queries. Anyone, any questions?